So what is philosophy instead? The word philosophy is Greek origin, meaning love of wisdom. So the only explanation of philosophy will be thirst for knowledge and expanding it to some sense. Philosophy is needed, since it basically is a different way of thinking, understanding something from a different perspective, another aspect on a topic, a way of seeing the world, or a well thought and written opinion, expression. Philosophy can also mean the art of thinking or the art of knowledge. Is philosophy art or science? That is a hard question. I will say it's about 50-50. It's part art, part science on its own. You could also say that it's an art turned science. What exactly is philosophy? Well, there is a meme that explains it very well, the best. You know that white cat with ragged hair on its side with the Y subtext, like going like this. That pretty much sums up philosophy in one meme. The greatest weapon of philosophy is why? 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 In one word, makes you think, reflect, choose. Without the why, there won't be. We will not be questioning things and keep asking out to find out more. Why are chairs shaped like that? Do they even exist? What is love? If you didn't question how things are the way they are, you could also say that art, science, and technology, and quite a lot of stuff we take for granted, wouldn't be a thing. We would not even dare to ask why. We have to ask why. Never stop thinking, never stop asking questions. Without philosophy, we wouldn't have great minds. There are plenty, like literally, there's too many to count, but not enough to those who are thirsty for it. For more opinions, for more knowledge, for more philosophy. When you want to boost your knowledge or ways of thinking, there will also be a way. There will be a way. There's nothing wrong with wanting to read every book. There's nothing wrong with that. Just as also not wrong to wanting to learn something out of interest or boredom or listen to every song ever made. But time-wise, we are very limited. We cannot beat time. We cannot time travel, we don't have the time stone. That is why we select our personal favorites, like favorite artist, philosopher, genre, you name it. Or look up other reviews to figure things out faster. It can manifest to other things such as copying others. Nietzsche has said something regarding that. I got this quote from Weltgeist. You should check him out. The scholar who handles books ultimately forgets to think for himself. Reading makes you apply others' opinions to your life you're not even aware of. There is a similar way, like when you worry what others might think of you, and you base your opinions and ideals around them. You can also tell and see that most people don't like saying what they really mean. They are basically straying away from controversy or any kind of deeper topic because to them that is taboo, and they either don't know about it or they might say something they don't like. All in all, it depends from person to person. A friend of mine has said this: the less members there are in a group, the deeper the topics can go. Most people today just skim read. Instead of understanding it, instead of really figuring out things for themselves, we need both controversies and deep topics because without them, we will be in an eternal state of sameness. Flatlining, basically. Information-wise, just like overconsumption of resources, you can overconsume information and your brain has to fit it all in. Like there's a saying, tabula rasa. I beg to differ regarding that, since there is no known max amount of info our brain can store, since the more you learn, the more you read, the more you remember. It's like an ever-expanding hard drive. I would agree it is not a bad thing since we enhance our brain capacity and for what we know currently also limit the onset of Alzheimer's. Vsauce comes to mind because since they basically collect a lot of info regarding interesting topics I've never heard of, selfie waves, and my favorite, do chairs exist, and they share it with us. They educate us in ways we wouldn't ourselves, or couldn't. By that definition, it's okay to overconsume info, but as I said, there's nothing wrong with overreading. The more you use your brain, the better it gets. So recently I witnessed a substantial rise in parents giving their kids earlier than 10 or 5, 3 even, phones and PCs. There's nothing wrong with that when it comes to technology itself. They will learn about it, they will learn how to use it more, but do the benefits outweigh the negatives? We'll just have to see. That limits their engagement, creativity, and brain growth. A golden middle ground should be the norm, like similar to 8 hours of sleep on average. Why do you think Baby Shark has so many views? But ultimately it's the parents' fault, so we might judge. Some argue that there is no need to use philosophy anymore. I'll beg to differ, since that kind of thinking can cause a year zero lag. Basically a stagnation, both in arts, sciences, and our ways to think, of thinking and communication. Philosophy helps us to analyze things, asking why things are the way they are, why this and not that, basically, and can make us better critical thinkers and communicators. You gain a lot by philosophizing and thinking differently. Just watch out when it comes to sleeping time. You may stay awake due to your overthinking process, due to your high brain overdrive. Not overthink when you're trying to sleep. Try to shut down your mind when otherwise you're just gonna be sleep deprived. Mythbusters won't be a thing if they haven't questioned things, test them out. Why are they like that? Is it possible? Let's bust it. Everyone can be a philosopher, but not everyone can be a great one. Which is why most philosophers don't just base everything or rely entirely on philosophy. They spread their intellect to other things such as arts, sciences, teaching, and the likes. Great minds think alike. They are similar, but never the same. From Da Vinci to Einstein, both scientists and philosophers in their own way, Einstein's science and Da Vinci's Mona Lisa is the first thing that comes to your head when you recall their names. That's the most famous part. Even then, they weren't exactly limited to one thing in their life. There's a similar such thinking, but I believe it is acceptable in this context. Had one famous artist, Oscar Wilde. One quote was, "Never rely on art as an income," which he wasn't wrong. Today wise, people can have more than one job, like have one job in a company and have more side gigs or side hustles for an extra income. There's nothing wrong with that. That is what has been done. Only now we are starting to call them side gigs or extra income. Many of the old philosophers were both artists and scientists. They were many things, literally. They divided their time to many things. They were masters of their craft. But what kind of success and achievements would they have if they were following only one path? No one really knows for sure. By now, I hope you have realized that I haven't only talked about philosophy and all the other things surrounding it, which is what the point of philosophy is, like talking and expanding. You think of other topics, connect them, and easy jump one from the other. Something similar like that exists. It's like flight of ideas, which when you talk, you switch to topics who are loosely based, not based at all, to each other, or you have mania. You just keep adding topics to that. There's nothing bad with that. I do that a lot. I do that constantly. In the long run, not only makes you a better thinker like that, or a communicator, but also makes you connect things to each other, to memorize them better. Do you think that these philosophers would philosophize if they were scared of something or being looked at funny or ridiculed? They did it. They did what they felt like was needed, necessary at that time. Philosophy is at times inconsistent, just like now changing topics from one to the other. It takes an open and ready mind to critical things, the works of philosophers, many of which are understood very easily. Like two prime examples would be Nietzsche and Marx. Philosophy is a subject that at times can be very challenging, but yet very rewarding. And it is ever expanding. You don't just watch one video, read one article or book. You expand your sources and knowledge and use it wisely. As said, is difficult, but engaging. You can immerse yourself within the book's The Philosopher's World. One individual, Dr. Ben Carson, in his book Think Free, Unleash Your Inner Potential, he has said that TV shows have eliminated our potential and possibility to visualize and set up the world we read, and argues further while reading we visualize and detail things in a way we think is happening, therefore increasing our mental capacity far beyond. And I would like to add, since everyone thinks differently, everyone's interpretation of a book, story, or song will be different. Sometimes, but very rarely, we think like similar to another person, never the same though. One individual who got popular very recently, Jordan Peterson, in an interview, when the interviewer said that they have read bits of Jordan Peterson, he immediately replied, "Read more." A friend of mine sent me that, and that was funny. That's your answer. Read more often. Some people don't see the point in reading or think that it is time consuming. Time consuming? Yes. Pointless? No. If you think that it is wasteful, why are you even here? You read descriptions, you read the articles and comments on Twitter and write about what you hate the most. So what is stopping you from reading books or writing in that case? You should do that. Give it a try at least. Well, philosophy is being told through many things, many types of media nowadays. The most prominent are books and speeches. The first ones, that's how they originally started out. Nowadays it's through arts and sciences. I say philosophy can be told through art and science because I experienced it that way, I want to say. And if it weren't for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I would not know about Friedrich Nietzsche. There was one song, Battle Tendency, that is JoJo Part 2, Der Mensch muss besser und böser werden. Which basically means the man must be better and more eviler. I googled it a few times and I basically put the song on repeat like constantly, and started reading about Nietzsche because of JoJo. Like seriously. JoJo made me read Friedrich Nietzsche. And the first one that I choose is a bit of a problem because this is his magnum opus, To Spoke Zarathustra, as you can see. If it were for JoJo, I wouldn't have known or got into reading Friedrich Nietzsche or buying To Spoke Zarathustra, which is a very good book, but also a very tough one for a first time. I recommend reading something from the beginning of the artist, some smaller book or the first ones that they made. If you start with the magnum opus, you will be discouraged. You will always find an excuse, but don't. Trust me. Take your time. It is better to go through things slowly so you understand it better. And that is how it should go when starting out. And some people can't read that fast, or just they do, but they don't understand or recall it. But if you can, read it. Try it. Maybe you can digest it easily. They will make your gears grind. Slightly off topic, but it's unnecessary info. That entirely depends on the person, I want to say. Generally, people don't like listening or reading about different opinions or something that is even slightly taboo. But what is the point of thinking, having opinions, and philosophizing if you can't use it? So philosophy is a crucial aspect in understanding things from different perspectives and how the world works. Just like with sciences and arts, keep questioning to get more answers and learn more. Why? Why? You may ask. The answer is unique to everyone. Stay learny. I just invented that. Stay hungry for knowledge and have an open mind.